This is supposed to be for reading, so it doesn't help for distance.
You want these for this time?
And I don't know which. So good evening, everybody. Good evening. Thanks very much for coming. Thank you. Okay. No, I said so first. I was coming anyway. Me and Paul. Okay. So, we have a title. We're going to read the title. So the title is The Inner School and the Work of the Light Scientists. But they're out for lunch now, so they're not here. And the Inner School is on holiday. So the title really comes out of the work that I'm involved with in working with light and color at a distance. And the work is really done from another level, an interdimensional level. And it is there very much to encourage and to support the way in which people can meet other people with whom they can exchange support. What is interesting for me is that this interdimensional work very much, and the interdimensional schooling really wants to get everybody in touch with everybody at this level so that they recognize the network to which they belong. Already we belong to the other levels, but we probably don't know it to any great degree. And part of the work that is behind this work, but part of the work for me is always that every student who comes should be more clearly linked to their own team, their own spiritual team. And once that's there, then there is a natural guidance that flows in wherever they go and whatever they're doing. And every student needs to listen to a variety of teachers and to look into a variety of different areas, not just to sit at the feet of one person, so that the link to the inner school allows the sense of discrimination. That sounds better than last night. Very good. The sense of discrimination to come in, so we can learn, and we can also discriminate when is enough, or sometimes when it's not appropriate to go into any area. It's all what comes out of it is the recognition of those with whom we can make exchanges, those of like mind, and appreciate what we can learn and when it's not right. But also there is an interweaving of mind relationship with spiritual principles and spiritual levels, which really means there is an exchange of I don't know how to describe them really, because they're like impulses. The communication from upstairs is never insisting and never forcing, although it does feel like that sometimes. But it's much more encouraging that we look at something, even casually, but we recognize a little sparkle or a little significance. Now, what I like about that is that our life is full of I wonder what interesting things will happen now or today or in this situation. That we're always on the edge or on the threshold of discovery or recognition or feeling that there is value in the way we are and where we are and how we are, who we are. So that's just to say, welcome this evening, students of the inner school. It's lovely to be able to realize that we meet each other wherever we are. It doesn't matter space and time. There's a flow within the consciousness that links us, whether in our human level we really recognize it or not. There's a flow of significance. And our life is related even before we have met, because the significance is a network. So it's essentially then the sense of the inner school is a validation of where we are under whatever circumstances and in whatever form or way. It's a validation of the importance of our incarnation, and it's not placing it in dramatic terms, just in validation terms. So welcome this evening. And I just want to see, did we say anything else in the title? Okay, through the work of the light scientists, the synthesis of timeless points of light and the contribution of the inner school, there is a gradual and steady dissolving of ancient collective karmic shadows. The spiritual purpose within incarnation is being upgraded. I like that idea, it's being upgraded. I don't actually know what I'm talking about, but I know the term. It says on my computer, there's a new something can come in and it's going to upgrade your program. I don't even understand the program that it's going to upgrade, but I know the word upgrade. And then when we look into the relationship between our different level of consciousness, it is being upgraded, and so the nature of our inventions, our technical discoveries, and the nature of consciousness tend to coincide more and more. Of course, it really means, I feel, that we cannot actualize what is not an expression of an aspect of our own capacity. If we can develop technology, the actual nature of the technology is an expression of a capacity that is already within us. And as much as we might be dependent upon the technology, that in a certain time it will have awakened within our human level and we won't need the technology. And then I think, well, maybe we don't need then telephones and computers and things. And the answer is, in the good old days, depending upon which religion you were in, if you were in the Christian religion, you would literally learn the Gospels off by heart. You could remember them. And so in every religious foundation, whatever their basic scriptures are, part of the training in the earlier times was that the student would actually remember everything. The memory does not forget, it's all there. Sigmund Freud said he had a photographic memory, and that's how he got through a lot of his exams. But it's more than a photographic memory. It is a memory which is not just data. It also has feeling, and it has thought, and it has a sense of purpose within it. So that all the machines that we use are, you could say they're essential, because that's the level at which we are at. The tendency then is there's a time when whatever we need to bring back is in the memory, it's in our memory. Is that possible? Is it really possible? And of course, if we can see how memories, you have a little memory stick, which can have a whole library in it. I still don't. You're not allowed to cough anymore this evening. Okay. I still don't believe that it can work, but it does. And also volume is simplified. Somehow volume, when we work with the light and color scientists, and we ask, what is the limit? How many people can you work with? They say it's unlimited. Our problem is your limits. We don't have a limit. And they can work with any number of people, even if it's the same time, and in different countries and scattered all over the place. They have no difficulty with volume. And And then, of course, with this interdimensional work, the whole concept of the Akashic records, the history of the person, and their karmic plan and their karmic pattern, this information is available. And so the work that they do is not really curative, it's facilitating, really. And also it's facilitating so that when they meet somebody at a certain point, in a little bit further in our measurement of time, it will be significant. They will recognize, something will be switched on. That, even better, when you go out the room, makes no difference. Okay, so I thought we'd just have a short meditation to link into our atmosphere, and then we'll sort of talk about things, and then you let me know what you think. In one way, we come from distant stars. It's not that we belong to the heavens. There is within the heavens the map of our existence. Our human brain is a star map. The brain of the child as it is born is a map of space to which it belongs, specific. It is exact. And as much as our human brain is a hologram of our body and all the subtle systems, it is also a map of a universe that has a specific connection to ourselves. It is more than being the microcosm. To be the universe in miniature is true, but it is also very intimate and very personal. It is as if the Creator and creation is in constant communication or harmonic resonance, and not in a general sense, but in each life form and each species, and then each individual within each life form and each species is known. It is connected. It has a purpose that has a general reference. There is an archetypal force or form or principle, as if it is an umbrella. But then each individual is active and each individual is known. Their name in some remarkable way is known. When we regard this with our human nature and our more rational and logical mind, it seems either overwhelming or supernatural. And yet here we are, and it is very natural to be here. So the supernatural is also the natural. It is only a shifting of perspective and allowing our own experience to feel or to build or to allow the relationship of the great universe and the single individual to be more than an act of faith or a point of trust, but to be a living reality that gives us the spirit of adventure, the appetite for life, and the willingness to ask questions when there are no answers that come to us very easily, or the very nature of existence is still too survival-based and not enough humanity-based, humanitarian-based. Even so, there is a force that is greater than the unanswered questions. And perhaps we have come not to ask more questions as it may often seem, but to becoming the living answer to the questions that we have not yet asked. So we hold our atmosphere as we come together now this evening. Okay. Thanks for waiting. So my teacher always used to talk about workshops. He was always, everything was going to be fixed in a workshop, the workshop of consciousness. And thinking about it, we have our physical body that we are gradually working on to improve it. And he said that a lot of the impulses behind his work was because people were going back worse than they were sent down. And we were supposed to, by the time we passed out of this level, we were supposed to have improved everything. So that there is what do we call it, the essence of a physical form, that when we come to take up a physical body again, there are imprints, there are seed atoms of building physical bodies from all our experience, and then we use the information and we should always send it back in better condition than we got it, was his statement. And then that people were going back upstairs in worse condition than they came down. So something had to be done about that. And then I've spent ages telling everybody about how to be healthy and how to improve their physical body. I think I must be the laziest person out of all the people that I meet because everybody is enthusiastic and goes jogging or fitness and so on, and I'm very happy to tell them about it. And then I think everybody should be in the garden and work with the earth, and I don't do it actually. But I tell people about it, and I know it's good, and I can feel the value of it all. And There's so many good ideas, and I love to tell people about these good ideas. So I think I'm going to go back worse than when I came, when I think about it now. So we're working on our physical body, but we're also working on our etheric body. And the etheric body is the etheric forces, they grow the grass. You cut the grass and it grows. You cut down a branch of a tree and immediately finds a way of making new branches. Those are the etheric forces. They are the building forces. And the impulse to build has to be disciplined by the information and the level of perfection, relative perfection, in the astral body. The astral body gives the discipline so that when people cannot contain, the physical bodies get far too big, get out of proportion, it means the link between the astral body and the etheric body is not there. The discipline is not there. The structure is not into a form. There's a sense of formlessness. Growth in nature is often a sense of formlessness up to a certain point, although every leaf on the tree is unique and every leaf on the tree is perfect and all of that. But there is a sense from the astral body that there is a design and there is a structure, and the forces that build are given the information. And if we can't reconstruct properly, that means the information is not connecting. But who gives the information to the astral body? And this is our karmic matrix. This contains the information from the workshop of the soul, from our higher self. Okay? You're free. Nothing is forbidden. You're absolutely free. The information, the karmic information, is drawn from many different kinds of incarnations. Why should we only incarnate onto this planet? And why should we only incarnate into this dimension? And so on. So there's a great mystery. But we do have a connection into life that has consequences of every thought, every feeling, of every meditation, of every motivation, of every action. It sets into motion not so much energies that then follow us everywhere, it feels like that sometimes, but more the nature of existence is the nature of creation in action. And it's not so much doing good and not doing bad, it's creation in action, and creation in action fulfills itself through the continuity of the consequence of its own expression. And so we are at the karmic level living within a design which is from the level of the soul. Well, what is the level of the soul? What is behind this purpose of the soul? We say the divine spark, the creator, the essence of the creator, that is our divine spark. And every soul is linked to the divine spark, which is totally uncorruptible or incorruptible. I don't know which is the right word. I don't know. Uncorruptible sounds stronger than incorruptible. Can't be corrupted. And the divine spark in its expression is the motivation within the soul. Soul is like the physical body for the divine spark. And then the astral body is like a relative physical form for the soul purpose. We need vehicles for each level of existence within which we awaken to each state of consciousness. And they're all interdependent. It doesn't always mean they all know about each other as much as we think they should. And my feeling, and I wouldn't take it too seriously, but my feeling is that our incarnation is not important until it's ready to be more receptive and responsive to the vital purpose of the soul. Or could we say of the higher self? Or is it the same word? It's not quite the same. The soul, the higher self, the overself, the oversoul. But we get a feeling of different levels or states that work within the frequency of their own state of working within universal principles and creation in action. So the behind each life, then there is a purpose, and one day somebody's asking me, what is the purpose of my being here? But the next day I'm asking somebody else the same question. And although I pretend I know all the answers, I've got to find somebody to ask this question to, otherwise I'm lost. So, maybe we should ask the goldfish, or the parrot, or the dog that is so happy to see us when we come back, or the pussycat that is very distant when we come back, not at all very impressed by us, but actually very close to us secretly. So, how do we ask our questions? In what form? Because the verbal form is limited. And life anyway reflects us back to ourselves, or it reflects what we need if we can interpret it. If everything has this message or this meaning, I tend to interpret it with a sense of I must have done something wrong, I'm being punished, or I need to learn, or this is a wake-up call. If I've got into a muddle, I somehow know people who look at me and say, this is a wake-up call. And I don't want to wake up, at least in front of them. I want them to think well of me without having to wake me up. And I want to say, well, okay, I'd like to wake up, but get out of the way. So, who brings the messages to us? Who carries the messages? And in the good old-fashioned times, if it was the wrong message, the messenger was actually just executed on the spot, because that was bad luck. He could bring other bad messages. Maybe he is the source of the bad messages. So who gives us the guidance, and how much do we at least send them in our way? We get everything to fit in our rational structures. We send them away. I wonder how much information we have that we don't know that we have, because we don't know its value. But it's there. In our title, we talk of points of light that can be awakened. Is that there's no situation that we enter into unprepared. I think that's true, but I don't like it. Then I would like to say, well, maybe we are prepared to a certain degree that gives us permission to make a mess, and out of the mess to find something that is nourishing for us, that is helpful and good for us. What are we going to talk about when we have left this incarnation? I sometimes think, if when I'm met at the pearly gates and they say, okay, this is the debriefing time, we're going to look at your life now, and we're going to go through every single moment, and I say, you know how much I've spent on therapy? Doesn't this give me time off now that I'm upstairs? I can do something else. I can play golf. There's a book called Golfing in the Kingdom, the spiritual higher level of golf. I don't play golf, but I know about it, about the spiritual level of golfing in the kingdom. So we're building a physical body that the seed atom of the physical body becomes more able to rebuild the next body and the next body. And then my teachers used to say, actually, we're all entitled to a better body than we've been able to get. what's available now is not good enough. The quality of what's available to build what karmically we are entitled to have as a physical form, and we have to accept inferior stuff. And he looked at us and he said, all of you here are entitled to more than you've been able to get. I liked what he said. I had no idea really what he was talking about, but it sounded interesting. Is the earth as a source, as a resource, in such a state that the material available to the incarnating soul is of a lower grade than it should be? Sounds like a conspiracy. And I have a friend now, when we meet, the first thing we say is, okay, which conspiracy are you into at the moment? And he's always got it on his little handy, and he gives me a speech that somebody's making somewhere, and it's really dragging the whole of the world down, and it's giving him a great lift. He's very good. He's a very good therapist, great osteopath, everything. And I wonder what he does in the evening. I think he looks up these conspiracy theorists and really enjoys himself. I like, we have a program called Miss Marple. I think it's Agatha Christie. And she's such a sweet lady, and every time there's a nice little murder, and she always solves the murder because the policeman is a Dumbo, and all the people around are very that's very English. And so they're all with their tea and this Earl Grey tea and cucumber sandwiches. And then there's a murder, And you watch a program and Miss Marple solves the murder again. And you all feel, that was really nice evening. And I think my friend looks at conspiracy theories and is listening to the conspiracy broadcasters, and and then he goes into a deep, beautiful sleep. Had such a wonderful and I always end up by being anxious and worried, and I'm like to see him. I'm always looking forward to see him, and then afterwards I always regret it. So that was better. And I always tell him that although there are these, the Illuminati and everything, there is a higher level that watches over them. The spiritual hierarchies watch. Nothing happens that is not observed, that is not noted. There are experiments going on with the manipulation of people's minds and bodies, but everything is known, it is noted, it is not. And past a certain point, you cannot override evolution, and you cannot override the forces that guard evolution. There are borders. And if anybody tries to cross over the border, there's a very strong discipline that will not allow it to go further. As my teacher used to say, God is not mocked. It was a very old-fashioned way of saying it, God is not mocked. But to step over a certain line, it never goes unnoticed. The boundaries are always watched. In ancient Egypt, one of the jobs for the students of the initiatic schools was to watch the borders of the country. And they would be able to see if anybody was crossing the border who was not supposed to, so that the Pharaoh could be informed, and the troops. Donald Trump would probably need somebody like that. And who is crossing the border, who shouldn't, and then how can we counteract it, and so on. And then also in the old Egyptian times, there were those spiritual beings, sort of light, dark spiritual beings, who were trying to make the way open. Thank you. God bless you. And they were trying to. What do they do now? They release a lot of information that then embarrasses, even for the new president of France. They released a lot of information that was there to embarrass him and to mislead people. And that's not modern. That was old-fashioned, even in Egyptian times. But the thing was that the Egyptian priests could override these corrupting influences in the enemies. And so they would be able to manipulate the people who were trying to manipulate the people. The point of all of this, I think there's some point in it, is that we're gradually perfecting our etheric body, which is totally harmonic, resonant to the nature forces, the nature intelligences, the nature beings. And with better material for our seed atom of the physical body, a more harmonious, more harmonic resonance between our etheric body and the forces of nature. This is the immune system. And the immune system is not fighting against disease. It's always taking advantage of what the disease brings that is helpful, but neutralizing it can only go to a certain point. Because the first act of most infections is to cleanse. It's mostly, it feeds off the material that then, when an infection really grows, then threatens the whole body. But at the first point, it's actually part of the cleansing. It's the first stage of healing. So if we're building an etheric body, does it mean that at a certain point we can actually be more etheric than physical? We don't need to be so solid. We don't need to be so materialized. And then as the physical body can work at a higher frequency, does this change the nature of time and age? Because the physical body can only last so long anyway. There's a certain, even if you live a very, very good life, or my Auntie Rosalie, who's 107 or 108, she's just lived. She hasn't actually tried to live a good life at all. She hasn't lived a particularly bad life. But she's still alive, and all her brothers and sisters have gone upstairs long ago. But if the etheric forces are able to be in tune with the karmic and astral forces, fourth dimensional forces with the third dimensional structures, does that mean that we can gradually be able to live as long as we need to? Or our physical body will be, however long or short we live, it will be available. It won't be exhausted. We won't be ending up by self-medicating in all sorts of ways which may be lots of fun, but are not necessarily self-supporting. In the way we look at life now, we look at the self-destructive forces, the socially destructive temperaments and personalities, the social structures that are harmful to people, and the way in which we govern, and the way in which we administer our laws that are often not so fair, not so just. To deprive a person of their freedom because they did something wrong, okay, but putting them in a small space, taking them away from their family and friends, feeding them very low-grade food, and telling them this is reforming you, may not be as effective as they would like, or as it should be. So in what way can we work with the releasing of the soul creativity, the self-actualization, with the curiosity of the divine spark, which in life is only creative. It's never anything else but creative. It wants to work with what is in the nature of what it can become, what is in the nature of what it can do or be. Is it possible to live more fully? Now, our astral body, when we go to sleep, we go to school in our astral body. It's our fourth dimensional suit of clothes. So the word astral means star. It's our star body. And with the astral body, we're working much more through focused intention, through the nature of an image that we can hold, and we can hold it with such clear and one-pointed intention that the forces of life that are available, they are available to respond to the creative focus. And that's what they do. But the creative focus in the fourth dimension means that we learn to manifest. We can build houses there and dissolve them again. But we can work with one-pointed focus. And when we work with the tuning forks and sound therapy, we always work with a good story of what we intend to work with. And I always feel the story is not the whole truth and nothing but the truth, but it's the best truth at the moment. It's the clearest way we have of explaining or seeking to identify what we want to work with. And then we hold that intention, and energy follows thought. And then when we work with the harmonic sounds, they will go exactly where we can focus. So you can't just wave them through the air and make nice noises. Something will happen, but nothing much of any consequence will happen. So, our physical body is there to become a little bit more perfect, and a lot of illness is just not necessary. Our etheric forces are there to act as our doctors. They're there to act as the guidance of what is a medicine. Hippocrates said, "Let food be your medicine." Our etheric forces are there to recognize, maybe like an animal recognizes in nature what they should eat and what not to. I would say a little bit more sophisticated than that even. And then our astral body, what on earth is going on there? Because it means we can travel in thought, or we can travel out of physical body. And we can be in touch with almost anyone or anywhere or anything if it is appropriate and if it resonates in a way that is harmonic. So what does this bring? Does this bring in the sense of free will? And does this bring in the sense of in what way can I do whatever I really, truly, deeply want to? And then that's the question which we started with. Is there a purpose in my life, And can you tell me what it is? And I said, yes, I'll tell you your purpose, but you have to promise to tell me my purpose afterwards. Or you can go first and tell me, and then I'll tell you your purpose afterwards. So, what shall we do with all of this? Because our higher self is virtually the mother and father behind the impulse that then enters in at the time of conception. And when we work with the light scientists, so they it's a story, and you have to think about it, because it's just a story, but actually it's true. Because there are very beautiful beings. They, in my understanding, they are within the archangelic hierarchy, and their job is to work with maintaining, adjusting, realigning the light frequencies in tune with the level of culture, of evolution within any sphere, within any within any area. So they work very much with the level of evolution, with the state of receptivity, and then the fertility of growth. And they work with light frequencies. I don't know how interesting it is to talk to them about this, but if you love information of frequencies of light, you'll be fascinated.